sleepless nights, enormous bills and fears for their safety. Just some of the things residents in some Merseyside high-rise apartment blocks experience after dozens were found to have fire safety issues or flammable cladding. Many leaseholders face huge bills for fire safety improvements brought in after the Grenfell Tower fire in 2017 when flames spread via the combustible cladding, killing 72 people. Today, the government's promised an extra £3.5 billion to remove unsafe cladding from tower blocks over 18 metres high. Now, the Housing Secretary, Robert Jenrick, says it is the largest ever government investment in building safety. Labour says it comes too late for many, and ministers have come under growing concern to increase the pot as leaseholds have been hit by building improvement costs and soaring insurance costs. Some say that they have effectively become trapped in their own homes, unable to sell until the work is carried out, yet in danger of bankrupting themselves to meet the costs. Our next guest is Julie Fraser. She's from Liverpool Cladiators, a group which represents leaseholders living in dangerous building. Julie, just to get your reaction first of all to what's been announced today.
Hi, Helen. Well, shocking, insensitive and completely insufficient. And my first few words on this, absolutely disgraceful, doesn't address any of what we wanted them to address today.
And the money will surely help people living in buildings higher than 18 metres. But some people you represent might live in slightly lower rise blocks, yet still have issues with fire safety, which won't be covered by the cash.
That's correct. I myself, my particular building is under 18 metres, is wrapped in highly flammable cladding and timber. But because it doesn't meet the height requirement, there will be no funding for my building. So I will be given a long-term loan. We don't know the detail of that as yet, whether it will be over 30 years or 60 years. But again, completely insufficient. I personally shouldn't be having to pay a penny of this.
And how does it make you feel, Julie? Just express right now. How are you with it?
Oh, to be honest, I was sickened to my stomach, really, when I was watching the announcement today. The stress and anxiety levels are just through the roof at the moment. I was up till 3 o'clock yesterday evening just worrying about this. Hopeful, and yet really not surprised with the announcement today. Our government have no real determination to sort these problems. Today, it's a drop in the ocean, really.
And the Secretary of State, Julie, says that no leaseholder will pay more than £50 a month for the removal of unsafe cladding under a new scheme. What's your reaction to that? And how does it compare with some of the bills your members have been getting?
That is completely inadequate. The £50 a month, people may say, oh, it's not that much, it's about £600 a year. But we don't yet know the terms of this. We know there will be interest added onto this. And as I said, as yet, we don't know whether it will be over 30 years or 60 years. I myself am 58 years of age. I believe the debt will go onto the building itself, the apartment, if I ever wanted to sell. I'm selling that apartment on with a debt that somebody else will have to take over. How is that fair? How is that just? It's just wrong.
And it's people's lives and their future, the uncertainty as well of where this is heading financially. And dangerous cladding isn't the only issue, is it? That there are sky-high insurance premiums, other fire safety concerns, and lots of the buildings were reported on in the past. So have the government addressed these other issues as well? And how are these costs for the premiums for other safety concerns, are they going to be met as well?
No, they're not going to be met at all. My building, or the development, we've had a rise of insurance over 1,400% in the last 2 years. Then within the building, behind the cladding, you have compartmentation issues, lack of fire breaks, etc. None of those costs will be covered by this fund. And we've already paid out for fire alarms, a huge cost to leaseholders. So any of the money we've already paid out and the money we continue to pay out we will get no reimbursement of any of those costs.
And Julie, they're just the main points we've highlighted. Remind us of some of the other issues your members have been facing and some of the things that they've, as an extra, had to pay for. You've mentioned the fire alarms. What else?
Wake and watch is a huge cost to leaseholders. You know, you're talking 5,000.
Just explain that for our listener.
Wake and watch is a handful of people, depending on the size of the development, will determine how many people will literally walk around the building in high-vis jackets and patrol the building when people are asleep. And in case of a fire, then they're supposed to alert the residents, wake them and get them out the building.
So that's another added cost that you've got to consider. What about the future? What do you think the answer is? Should the government simply pay to resolve every issue, or is that possible during this pandemic with all kinds of people desperate for financial support? What do you want to see happen, Julie?
What we, as a campaign group and campaign groups throughout the country, have been asking the government that the polluter pays. Those responsible for these issues, the developers generally, need to pay for this. They created these problems. Many of these buildings were not built within building regulations at the time. So why should I, as a leaseholder, pay to fix their problems?
Julie, a good point to add to this debate.